Hey, this is working. Good. I just finished shoveling snow for an hour, so I'm kind of out of it. Podcast coming out. Got to get the energy up. Oh my God. This is actually the one time that I wouldn't have minded starting at the normal time later. Today we're an hour early. Looks like they're starting the call. So, in case you don't know, any super chats and stuff, which I do encourage, I'll grab at the end of the stream. Nashville, Seattle, Portland. What's up with this? I've been to Seattle, love Seattle. Portland, great city. Would not live there, but I enjoyed the outskirts. Or like, I more enjoyed Oregon than really Portland. Seattle, though, I could live in Seattle. I love Seattle. But anyways, all right. I'm gonna join this call, and I will be right back with the mafia, the only mafia. There we go.
Cool.
Live.
All right.
Still haven't figured out how to not make myself mirrored on my Skype, but I'm not sure there's even a way to do that.
Does it mirror us?
Change this setting.
Oh Lord, my apartment is a mess. Whatever.
Here is that form. I'll drop it into the chat.
Oh,
Hi, Lance.
hello.
Lance, this is the least cherry I've ever seen you hop on a call. I feel alarmed when you're not smiling.
There's tonight's form.
Oh, perfect.
Oh.
Thank you, Blair.
Gotcha.
Oh, Blair. So last night I was hanging out with my friend, and I was explaining to them how Bahamians do not take lightly to Americans putting us in national news. And so I was giving the Fire Fest as an example, and somehow they live under a rock and had never heard about the Fire Fest.
Oh no.
So, right, that starts at a deep dive, and I type in Fire Fest. Second video I see is you.
Yeah.
And so
Hi.
yes. So we sit down, we watch your whole video, and I was like, this is fucking excellent. I see why. I was like, oh, I was like, I get it. I was like, I see why. Also, yes, this is fucking great. I was like, I can't wait to tell her this was some informative shit.
Thank you.
We're missing Matt Binder, right? Intentionally.
Yes, he'll be on an hour later, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So we can save the Trump NFT news for him, maybe. since he's
Yeah.
the
Oh,
NFT
yeah,
guy.
that's true.
He's got to be itching to talk about that.
Yeah.
Save the Trump for him.
Well,
Do
I'm
all of you want to do introductions just so I can play with the levels and get everything super amazing?
Sure. All right. Hey, y'all. This is Blair of the Illuminati. Mainly on YouTube. Sometimes here. Hello. There you go.
David.
Hey, I'm David Dole, host of The Rational National on YouTube and sometimes on Twitch playing games as well under the same name.
Mike.
I'm Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report. Every single day, I am posting videos, and yeah.
My name is Olayemi Olurin. You can call me Olay. Make your life easy. I am Miss Olurin on all social media. Lance, it's you.
Everywhere social media is sold, you can find me at The Surfs TV. Super easy on all of the socials.
Well, there we go. We've done it. Congrats.
There we
Well,
Now what?
Yeah.
Well, now what?
Illuminati, you do the
That
intro.
right.
You were kind of taking charge last time. I liked having both an intro and then like questions to feed off. We should announce that. Hey, this is the first. No one's ever thought of this before. The first panel show on the entirety of the internet that actually has interaction. You get to decide. Well, you get to decide what we talk about at home.
That's
It's a choose
true.
your own adventure. All right. So all of you watching right now, what do you want us to talk about? Pogs, Pokemon cards, defective
Pogs?
flashlights, whatever it is. You choose. You get to pick.
wow, that's a throwback.
very
I'm dating
specific.
myself by knowing what that is.
I mean, I'm down for it. And then yeah, let me throw, at least in my chats, the link to
Oh, yeah, I gotta
this
cut
because I realize no one can submit anything if I don't put that in there. So let me drop that in and feel free to fill it up with questions. I love everyone who submitted questions last time, but I assure you I will not be taking personal questions about me. So if you put those in there, they're not going to get answered. So please, keep it
I'll take
topical.
personal questions if they're spicy.
You'll take personal.
I'll
Okay,
take personal. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
same
I
thing.
love
I'll
that.
take some.
personal
Ah.
questions. I will not.
Oh, no, listen, I love it. Come on, be in my business to my face.
You're gonna make me have to read this shit. Which is fine. I'll read it.
I mean, there's limits to what I'll answer, but I'll take basically every single question.
All
I have
right,
no
y'all
shame.
heard it. Gates open. Come on in.
Oh,
Inviting it though now.
You
oh,
are.
let me start this episode by saying, last episode, I was not saying beats children. That is not what I was saying. I am not a proponent of child abuse. I was just a general proponent of general violence. I was saying that when you're young, you should get your ass beat talking shit by other young people, like had those experiences. So I just want to be in trouble for the right thing. General promotion of violence, anti-child abuse. I just wanted to clear that up. So all the people that were like, oh my God, I agree with you. Child abuse is fucked up. That was not what I was saying. I will communicate my general love of violence better in the future. Just thought I should tell you all.
Are there any other controversies that we should address? Because I don't know if there are any others, but I didn't know that that was a thing. But I'm glad that you cleared that up.
My friend told me like right at the end of the episode, like he was like, they were so mad. They thought you was. I was like, oh no, that's not what I was saying. And then one of my followers told me on Instagram, and immediately I was like, no, ma'am, I agree with you. I agree with you. Child abuse is fucked up. Don't be. I actually. I am not a proponent of beating children. I don't. I know my people usually are, but I myself am not a fan, and I just wanted to clear that up. Like, just want to be in trouble for the right things.
Well, I was gonna say we could use our powers of uncancellation to uncancel you. There you go.
Yes,
There we
There you go. We
No,
saved you.
A fair uncoupling this evening.
I feel like there's going to come a point where something that we say is going to be deliberately misconstrued because it's happened to all of us, but we just have to like get under the skin of certain people. And then they'll like take a clip, they'll boost it. I feel like soon it's going to happen. It hasn't happened to us yet, just positive things.
Someone said when we did the midterm stream elections, do y'all remember when y'all brought up Beto O'Rourke for a second, one of the polls had it wrong or something, or we thought you read it that he was ahead, and I was like, oh, what? Somehow that right there, someone was on Twitter like, and she's a real Beto O'Rourke fan, and we should have known that she fans Beto O'Rourke. I was like, me stan Beto O'Rourke? I would barely recognize Beto O'Rourke if he knocked on my fucking door. Please don't lie on my name. I was merely curious. Like, that's it.
People will
you
take
didn't
you
know
out of
about the beef,
context.
right?
They'll take certain clips. This happens. Yeah, I mean, YouTube comments. I'll read things in my comments where it's like, you should talk about this, and literally in that video, I talked about that, and they didn't watch the video. So
Yeah.
this is just people are gonna be weird sometimes.
Literal worst. When it's like, Mike didn't even bring up this. It's like, well, you didn't get to minute 9, motherfucker. Keep watching, and I addressed all of your points. I'm not gonna do a video and just like half-ass it. Like, check my sources, check what I say. That's the most frustrating thing. I would rather them like misattribute a policy position to me than say that I didn't say something when I clearly did say something, or vice versa. I hate people like that, and it's so common now. It's so common. But I guess it's par for the course when you're on the internet. I don't know.
That is the way of the internet, unfortunately, because people want, to a degree, things to be taken out of context, because people love drama and gossip and all of that. And if there's a way to stir something up, people will do it. And why? Because it brings in views. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Should we give them what they want and just say a bunch of out of context things that they could say it's bad?
Not to raise my one good blood pressure. Like, not me. Listen, I can't do it, because the minute they say on the internet, this is my head fucking spinning on Twitter to fight everybody and their mama. No, sir. I don't.
You just gotta find the mute button.
Let me just give them what they want, okay? A couple of out of context, okay? I'm glad he's dead. She deserved that. Okay, do what you will.
All right, let us get into it this evening, shall we? So our first question, I know, is going to be about the Donald Trump cards. We're going to wait on that till Matt gets in, if I'm correct, if that's what we're doing tonight.
He's
Okay.
our
Yeah.
crypto enthusiast.
Okay, cool beans. So then we'll hold off on that for right now. So hold those questions on Donald Trump. I promise we will address them later. Let's see here. So, oh man, all right. So questions are already coming in. Okay, this is about, I think, another streamer. Do we want to talk about other kind of people in our spaces or not?
Oh, so you just
Let's
it's
hear the
going
question.
straight up with drama.
We can hear the question.
Well, it depends who it is.
Let's court it. Like, hear the question. If it's about other people, whenever it's about another person and it might whatever that we might know, let's vote on it.
Okay.
And the majority.
That's fair.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
the
fair.
question here comes from Winston, and they ask, thoughts on Destiny going on PragerU? Do we want to entertain
We
this
don't know
question?
who either one of the motherfucking people are.
I know everyone involved. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment. I don't know if he's done a video, if he's been interviewed, if he's debating someone from PragerU. I have no idea.
I just got to give shout out to Winston. Winston is always in my chat, always bringing the drama up. This is what he does.
Oh, I know.
love Winston.
He's one of my mods.
He's one of
there
my
you
mods too.
Yeah, right. Okay.
He's always on it.
Trying to stir drama for content.
Shout out to Winston.
I don't follow Destiny at all, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really
Destiny
care what he does.
I'm not qualified
White
either.
people.
I think they're a streamer.
Oh, I know who
Yeah,
Destiny is. I've battled with Destiny.
familiar.
I know who they are, but I don't follow them.
Yeah.
I
don't
just
know. I don't know
I
either.
know PragerU is a YouTube channel, and I know
It's a very conservative YouTube channel that peddles
Yeah.
misinformation and tons of fucking horrible shit. But again, just in good faith, I don't know. Like, I would be surprised to find out that he's done a PragerU video, the ones where you actually stand up
Right.
on the green screen and then you're like, here's why the woke mind virus is going to kill us all. I'm going to assume it's probably he went on someone's show on PragerU to debate them or something. I don't know. That's
what I
it's
would
about
guess.
as good faith as I can be.
okay, that's fair. And let's move on. This one specifically is for Olay. This one's for you.
Oh, okay. Questions.
Olay, like it or not, we have a prison issue. How do we simultaneously end incarceration and protect from the truly dangerous? This question comes from Roller Dragon.
I think the first thing you need to recognize is that the current system isn't there to protect from the truly dangerous or the dangerous at all. I think we have to not work from that misconception, because the question purports to believe that that's what our system is doing now, and the system has no concern at all for danger, safety, or any of that. It's a profit system that's just based on incarcerating, using Black and brown bodies for certain things, and that's just a reality. It's not we are okay. All these different atrocities and things we ask about only when concerning that question is only now coming up in the safety element once we are talking about poor and Black and brown people that are already being criminalized. But we have no concern for who walks amongst us by the rich or the white or the whatever. We know of all kind of far crazy things, and they just proceed to exist among us. So I think that's the first thing we have to recognize is if we want. And then I think the second thing I would work from is the majority of crime and what we think of as crime in our society is just not violent crime. That's just not true. Violent crime or people that are just like deranged or what we sensationalize it to be in media. That's not the case. What the majority of things are in our system, there are root causes that we as a society can address to avoid those things. And so I would say the first thing we want to do is if we want to, in any inquiry, and I think this is a mistake sometimes our side of the aisle does, is we will, when we talk about crimes of poverty, when we talk about that, we always want to exclude, we're like, oh, nonviolent, but only nonviolence, not violence. You know what I mean? We associate crimes of poverty to only be what we directly think of as with wealth, like, oh, you stole some food, you stole some this. But violence is a product of poverty in your environment and all these different things and all these different responses. And in any event, violence, at the end of the day, condemning violence doesn't stop it from reoccurring. That's what you need. That's what we need to understand. You can condemn violence all you want till you're blue in the face, but you have to contend with it and where it comes from in order to deal with it. So I would say if we want to have a system that deals with the truly violent among us, first of all, we have to recognize that we don't have such a system as it stands, and we are starting from scratch. And that analysis would have to begin with, well, where is this violence coming from? Why are these people committing this? And how do we address that? So that'd be my answer.
Can I just ask, when you said that people on this side of the aisle are like a little scared to mention violent crimes and stuff like that, do you think that is because they're trying to win people over? Because it's the argument being, if I'm talking to someone, I'm like, we should release all non-violent drug offenders from prison. They'd probably be like, yeah, okay, But if I was like, and also some of them within certain conditions based on the violence they've perpetrated, they'd be like, wait, what? And this and that.
I think there is a part of that, right? Like, because strategy, obviously, whenever you have if what you're arguing for, let me give you an example. If what I'm arguing for is bail reform, and I happen to know that what the modest bail reform is that I'm trying to get you to support only happens to cover these nonviolent crimes or these misdemeanors, I'm going to emphasize it because I know that that's going to be a winning point to you, even though in my mind, my heart of hearts, you know what I mean, it should expand to this. But I think there is a section of us that don't bother ever to explore at all, don't even bother to contend with the fact that violence is also a product of these things. I think we ourselves, most of us, end the analysis there, because when you say it to people, and whenever they even talk about, they'll talk about, abolition, people who nonviolent crime or whatever shouldn't be in pretrial detention, or these kinds of people, crimes of poverty, people who steal food, who steal this, they make all these special caveats and stuff because they truly do have excluded anything they deem as heinous, because they're so focused on what is your moral outrage and your response to whatever it is you think falls under this catch-all. You don't bother to address the fact that it still comes from the same other place. Like, you still have to address it in all of the same way. So I think some of it is us trying, some of us, in the moments we're making the arguments that are best appealable, but I also think it's, for the most part, we have it as a collective weighted into our conversation that violence is also a product of poverty and your environment. Yeah.
That is a very complete answer. I've got nothing to add to that. I'm right with you.
Thank you. I like to say I do it for a living.
Can add to it, but it's all bad, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, kind of, I guess, not prison system, but still kind of talking about it. Another question is asking specifically about Measure 114 in Oregon. So the law claims that it's going to grant county sheriffs and police chiefs discretion to determine who actually qualifies to purchase a firearm under a new permit to purchase program. They did provide a link to an NPR article, which I'm going to throw into our little chat. So if you guys want to pull that out, reference it, whatever, I'm going to go ahead and give that to everyone as well.
I'll pull that up.
And when you do look at the article, the way it's titled is saying Oregon's LGBTQ community worries that a new law will keep them from obtaining guns. And so that's kind of our jumping off point here.
I'm just familiarizing myself on the fly here.
Yeah, no, you're good.
So The law, Measure 114, grants county sheriffs and police chiefs discretion to determine who qualifies to purchase a firearm under a new permit to purchase program. But Measure 114 lacks criteria clearly defining what disqualifies applicants, details on what makes someone a threat, and what the data can be used for in law enforcement in making a decision. Oh yeah, this is horrifying already. It's already got all the scary measures. I mean, I think. Like I'm speaking, and David, I can lay you up here as the two Canadians on the panel, and I will say this maybe as someone on the left. I'm not opposed to people owning firearms. I'm not like no one should be able to never own a gun ever in the history of anything. No, that's not my position. I think it's totally reasonable because in Canada the system is you need a license. In the same way you need a license to drive a car, which makes sense. A car can kill people. You need a license to own a firearm, and you take a 2-day course where you get gun safety training. And like I think that's a totally reasonable approach. I wouldn't want on the other end of that the police, based on criteria that they have complete unfettered control over, to be able to determine who is and who is not allowed to own a gun. That to me is it's just a scary environment to be inside.
I will say in Canada they also do background checks to the point where you have to put down on the paper when you're applying to get a license who your significant other is or your ex is, and they actually call them and see if you're someone who should be able to own a gun and that there's no threat there. So they go deep, and I think they should. As Lance said, like it's like a car. Like, why should you be able to drive a car without a license? You shouldn't. It's ridiculous. Why should you be able to operate a firearm or own one without a license? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I just think it makes sense to really dive into ensuring that you're a person that can handle a weapon and you're not someone who's going to be crazy.
Good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the law is obviously a bad idea for a million of the obvious reasons. I want to say in general, the way our gun laws are already set up is to prevent other people, certain people from ever having guns. Is the reason why they have the kind of criminal possession, gun possession charges they have, and they riddle the Black and brown communities with that. And there's a reason why they have illegal weapons in the first place, because the law is not permitting them to get it the legally way. They're already being denied permits and all these different things. So yeah, absolutely, this is going to be a further way to discriminate. And I also want to say the police have no business being granted said authority. I mean, the police shoot and kill, that they admit to. They shoot and kill over 1,045 people each and every year in America. So you know what I mean? And they have the highest DV crimes. Is absurd that the police would be given that. But yeah, the activists are absolutely right to worry. I mean, if you think about it, if you go all the way back to Black Panthers, the Black Panthers coming up with self-defense, we're going to be a self-defense party. We're all going to be armed. Is also what led to crackdown on gun laws in and of itself. But to the response from the police to change their name to Protect and Serve and to paint this in this dangerous, violent way, it's always been the response of the police to target anybody deemed as activists in general, any level of public, knowledge on that. But if they deem you as being armed, and yeah, they're going to try and prevent them from getting weapons. Also, additionally, just having to apply for this and put yourself on the radar of the police, puts you also in a particular position, right? You're giving them all of your information. They know in the case of certain people and populations. Yeah, obviously harmful.
Yeah, so I live in Oregon, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, I voted affirmatively for this. I don't like the idea of police officers being able to determine who qualifies to purchase a gun. But the way that the law was sold to us was kind of like, this is just more of a red flag program. And this element from the law in particular, if I'm remembering correctly, like the wording on the ballot was significantly downplayed. Like it was just more gun control, which I do believe is a good thing. Like I'm kind of Canadian in my orientation towards guns. So I agree with Lance and David there. But in terms of police officers who are able to make that determination, I don't trust cops, and I don't trust that they are the best to judge people adequately, especially marginalized people who need firearms.
Was there campaigns? Because I know there's some bills that people suddenly vote for because they saw a lot of advertising, and it was like, oh, it was worded to me a lot different than that.
There was mostly right-wing campaigns. I haven't heard the counter arguments from leftists.
Because all the sources I'm looking up, they are from pro LGBTQ plus criticism and it's civil rights criticism, where it's widely documented abuse amongst law enforcement to abuse their power when restricting firearms to citizens. This has historically obviously targeted Black communities and queer communities, blah blah blah, especially queer communities of color, etc. like it seems like something maybe that they wouldn't have probably put in. Maybe it just wasn't in the writing. Like I don't know what the ballot measure looked like for you.
Yeah, I have the book. I need to go back and look, because you know how they have like the arguments for and against and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't really remember, but yeah, framed that way, if I would have heard the arguments, I probably would have rethought it. But it's been a while, so I'm curious now to look it up. But I'm a little bit worried based on like the arguments I'm hearing that maybe I didn't do my due diligence before voting for this.
And
but-
in 4K too.
I
Yeah.
have I have complicated thoughts or when it comes to the issue of gun control or guns in general, maybe in America, because I think there are a few different competing issues. First of all, I believe, like, regardless of how I feel about guns, like, I don't give a fuck about guns. I'm not somebody who likes guns myself. But when it comes to, I believe that everybody should, if we're gonna have it, if you're gonna live in a country that sensationalizes guns and Second Amendment, yada yada yada, it should be an equal right. There's no reason why white people could have guns and make it a whole sign of patriotism. And you can't see a white person in their American flag without their guns, and it's a symbol of patriotism. But every time a black person in a gun is automatically a criminal image, and gun possession laws and criminal possession laws and all these gun laws are directed at black people. That's just the reality. And the problem I have with not contending with what gun control is as is proposed to us in America, if you're gonna have the kind of regulation we should have, we should contend with the fact that America is like the largest manufacturer of guns. We should limit that shit. That's what we need to address. That we need to go on that level. But the problem is what white America continues to do is the gun control are just more laws that lead to the further criminalization